Okay, so welcome back. This is lesson 4, creating procedures that return single rows. Single rows, very simple. So, it does what it says on the tin. We're going to be creating procedures that return, lesson 5, that return basically single rows from the database. And in this case, I don't know if we're going to, yeah, we'll use the ACT table just to save the effort here. So, ACT, okay, fairly simple table, 3 columns. We have an int5, character 6, varchar 20. And what we're going to do is write a procedure, and we are going to make it return a single row by ID, okay? And the ID, of course, in this case is our ACT number. So I guess that's what the index is. Of course, there's actually 2. There's one on the keyword as well. That's easy. That's fine. We're just going to use ACT no. So let's go ahead, and before we even let's just go ahead and create a new member, and we're going to call this one I'm going to call it workshop data.rpgle. No, actually, it's going to be .sql rpgle because we're going to be using embedded SQL right now. So let's go ahead and close this and reopen it just to make sure it actually exists. There we go. Now, let's start simple. Star free, and then what else are we going to do? Very first thing, ctl opt no main, and then let's go ahead and declare a procedure for getting an ACT. So before we let's just do this. Let's also do this. Declare. Interesting. Yeah, declare DS activity. And we're not going to use ext name. We are actually going to specify the types themselves. So we're going to do qualified template. That's important here. And DS. And let's go through and do this. So we have activity number. So we're just going to put number. This is an int5. And then we have, what else do we have? Keyword, which is also a character 6, I believe. And then we have a description, which is a varchar 20. Yep, easy. So there's our activity, which is great. And then we're just going to have a function called getActivity. And it will be export, of course, and then we can end the proc there. And then we can say declare PI, getActivity, and it's going to return, like DS, activity in PI. And we're going to pass in a number. So we want to pass in the key to get the activity out. So in this case, we'll just say number. I think we could just do this, like activity.number. And so that would actually say, the same type as the activity number. And we can say const. And then all we're going to do is write some embedded SQL. So first of all, let's go ahead and declare our activity structure, returning activity. And it's going to be like DS activity. Of course, I should follow my own standard here, and I should be saying activity_t, so I'm going to go ahead and rename that. Lovely. So there's our returning activity, and all we're going to do is do exec SQL select act no, act kwd, act desc, I think that's what they are, yep, into, and then of course I'm going to put this on a new line. We're going to say returning activity dot number, returning activity dot keyword, returning activity dot description from where is it? What are we looking for? Act. That's what it is. I wonder if it has a long name. I don't think it does, but that's okay. From act, where act no equals, and then a host variable number. And then we're going to say returning activity, save. Got to make sure you click save. You always got to be saving here, folks. So, a fairly simple procedure. Now let's actually try and compile it. I'm expecting it to. Oh, it did. Oh my god, it actually worked. So, there's our procedure. Now, I would like to tell you about what I just compiled with. So, SQL rpgle QSys file system, create SQL RPGI mod. So it's just using the create SQL RPGI command with the object, open the library that I'm in, the member that I'm in, so in this case workshop data. It has the source file. Then I have commit star none. I always use commit star none for this. Obj type module, that's the important part. And I've got option, eventf and xref, and debug view star source. And that's it. Now we need to do a couple of other things here, because of course we want programs to be able to have the same templates and also to be able to use these procedures. We're going to create a copybook. So I'm going to make sure that I don't have one already. I'm going to do work obj Barry style, and I'm looking for a QRPGLE ref. Now we don't have one, so I'm going to do create source pf QRPGLE ref, and the library of course is going to be Barry. I like to use a long record length. I use 112. So file not created. Maybe it does already exist. Maybe I am blind. Star file. Nope. What did I do wrong? QRPGLE ref. Aha, I see. Because I'm in debug mode. Interesting. There we go. That was interesting. I was still in debug mode from a couple of lessons ago. That's funny. Okay, so anyway, I've created that, and I want to get it open up here in iEditor 2, Barry/QRPGLE ref. Save. Close that out. Refresh. So let's go ahead and create a new member in this ref file, and we're going to call it workshop data.rpgle. Close it out. Refresh. So here's my template. Star free, not my template, my reference, my header file as I would rather call it. And I'm just going to move this qualified template over into here. And I'm also going to write the prototype for my procedure here. But I'm just going to copy this, paste it in. Ooh. And instead of PI, it'll be PR. And of course, ext proc on the end. Save. And so what we can do now is say copy QRPGLE ref workshop DTA. And I'm going to save it. And I'm going to try and compile it again. Okay, so now it's using our reference file, which is great. And so now we have the module. Let's go ahead and create the service program. Compiled successfully. Excellent. So let's go back to our binding directory. So in a previous video, we created this. We created our workshop binding directory. So we're going to do work bind directory entries on our workshop. And we're going to add workshop DTA star service program. Library Barry, of course, star imed. So now we can access our workshop data procedures through many other programs. So let's go ahead and create yet another new source member called lesson. What lesson are we on? 4? 4. .rpgle. Let's make it free. Let's stick a control opt dft act group star no. And let's also binding directory, of course. This one's going to be called workshop. And let's go ahead and copy QRPGLE ref workshop DTA. That's my copybook. So this is the same copybook that we use in our workshop data, in our actual service program module. And now we have access to the activity data structure, and we can also call our get activity. So first of all, let's actually look at, let's have a look at, where am I going? So on the documentation for the database tables, we can click on act, and it'll actually show you the data inside of the tables, which is really cool. So what we're going to do is try and call it, of course. So let's just declare two things. First of all, let's say a number. Let's not do that. Let's just declare an activity, like DS, activity T. Of course, this is a like DS, declare DS. So now we have an activity, and I'm going to say activity dot number equals 120. And then I'm going to say activity equals get activity, and I'm just going to pass in activity dot number as the parameter here, and then I'm going to return. So let's compile this. Compiled successfully. Wow, that's great. First time. So, oh, I didn't mean to do that. So what we're going to do is end any debug that I've got, and I'm going to start debug again on lesson 4. So here's my very simple program. Let's set the breakpoint on activity number 120, and let's call lesson 4. So let's have a look at activity first of all. There is our free subfields. These are all the default values, of course, but until I set activity number to 120, sorry. And of course I'm saying activity equals get activity, and I'm passing in the activity number here. So now I'm in it, and it's saying get activity export. Now we could look at the number parameter, very good. We're doing our exec SQL, it's running. And what we could do is just take a look at the output here. It didn't work, okay. So let's do an EV SQL state. I always like to start there. We got 42704. So let's do display job log. Now I actually know what this is. It's because act is not on the library list. So we're just going to do act add label sample. That's where it exists, and let's call it again. Get activity. Run the statement. Have a look at the content, and there it is. There it is, folks. We have data coming back from the service program, and it's going to pass it right back to our program here so we can have a look at activity, and there it is. That's excellent. That was pretty much what I wanted to achieve in this lesson. That's really cool. So now we have the ability to pass back, whole rows at one time instead of saying, having multiple procedures to get different values out of the database. Very happy with that. Actually, I'm going to keep doing it just for the fun of it. In fact, let's try a different number before we call it. Let's set, let's say, oh, that was loud. EV activity dot number equals 150. Okay, so then let's look at it and let's call it. Nice, nice, nice. That's really awesome. That's really cool. I'm very happy with that. Cool. I mean, that's where I wanted to be for this. So very good. I think that's pretty much it for this this lesson. That's pretty quick. Very happy with that. It went a lot faster than I was expecting. Very good. So yeah, in the next lesson, we're going to be looking at how we could do a multi-row fetch and what a good practice would be for that. Cool. So then I'll see you in the next video, I suppose.